All right, let's talk about making your Python functions way more flexible, way more powerful. If you've ever stared at a function definition with a star or a double star in it and just kind of scratched your head, well, you've come to the right place. We are going to totally demystify args and double args today. I mean, think about it. You're writing a function, right? Maybe it's a simple one, like adding some numbers together. But what happens when one time you need to add two numbers, and the next time you need to add 20? You're not going to write a new function for every single case. That would be an absolute nightmare. There's got to be a better way. And of course, in Python, there is. So here's our game plan. First, we'll touch on why we even need this flexibility. Then we'll get to know our two new best friends, args and kwargs. After that, we'll see how to put them all together for the ultimate function. And we'll wrap up with the really important rules you have to remember. Okay, so here's the core problem. A standard Python function is, well, it's pretty rigid. If you define a function to take two arguments, you have to give it exactly two arguments. Not one, not three, any other number, and your program just stops dead with a type error. Now, that's fine a lot of the time, but when you can't predict how many inputs you'll get, you need something much more dynamic. And that brings us to our first magic trick. Let's say you want your function to handle any number of positional arguments. You know, the ones that are just values in a certain order. For that, you use args. So how does this actually work? That single asterisk, that star right before the word args, is a signal to Python. It says, hey Python, any extra positional arguments you see when this function gets called, just scoop them all up, pack them together, and hand them to me as one single variable. And here's the key. That variable is always going to be a tuple. Let's look at this total function. It's super simple. See what happens? When we call it with 2, 4, and 6, the print shows us that the args variable inside the function is now the tuple 2, 4, 6. If we call it with just one number, 10, args becomes a tuple with just that one item. And if we call it with nothing at all, we just get an empty tuple. The beauty is the function doesn't care. It just works every single time. And what's really cool is you can totally mix args with your normal parameters. In this greet function, Python is smart. It knows the first argument, hello, belongs to the required greeting parameter. Then it sees there's more stuff, Alice, Bob, so it bundles all of that up into the names tuple. It's just so clean and readable. All right, quick knowledge check. Let's see if that last part stuck. When you use args to slurp up all those positional arguments, what data type does Python pack them into inside the function? Is it a set, a tuple, a dictionary, or a list? And the answer is B, a tuple. That's right, it's always a tuple. It kind of makes sense, right? Tuples are immutable, you can't change them, and the function is just receiving a fixed sequence of arguments that came in. Okay, args is awesome for handling a random number of positional arguments. But what if you want to handle optional named arguments? You know, arguments that have a name attached to them? Well, for that we need our second tool, kwargs. Everybody, meet kwargs. It stands for keyword arguments, and that double asterisk is the telltale sign. It's another instruction to Python. This time it says, hey, see all those extra keyword arguments? The ones that look like name equals value? Yeah, grab all of those and bundle them up for me into a dictionary. Let's check out this info function. When we call it with name equals Alice and age equals 25, you can see that inside the function, kwargs literally becomes a dictionary. Name equals Alice, age equals 25. From there, you can treat it just like any other dictionary, checking for keys and getting values. This is incredibly useful for things like optional settings or configurations. Okay, you know the drill. Time for another quick check. We just saw it in action. How does kwargs store all those named arguments that it collects? And of course, it's a dictionary. It's all about those key value pairs, which is exactly what a dictionary is for. So remember, double asterisk means dictionary. Single asterisk means tuple. So just to put them side by side, for args, you're thinking positional arguments, a tuple, and a single star. For kwargs, you're thinking keyword or named arguments, a dictionary, and a double star. That's really the core difference you need to know. Now for the really fun part. You don't have to pick just one. You can combine standard parameters, args, and double xargs to build the ultimate, super flexible function that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it. Let's break down exactly what happens in this register function. When we call it, Python is very methodical. First, it sees the positional argument 101 and assigns it to the standard parameter ID. Easy. Then it sees more positional arguments, math and science, so it packs those into the args tuple. Finally, it sees the keyword arguments, active equals true and grade equals A, and scoops those up into the kwargs dictionary. See, everything goes exactly where it's supposed to. Now, all this power comes with one single, unbreakable rule: the order. You have to define your parameters in this specific sequence. You start with your standard arguments, then any that have default values, then args, and dead last, always at the end, is double kwargs. This order is non-negotiable. Python's interpreter relies on it. All right, last test, I promise, but this one is probably the most important. Based on that unbreakable rule we just covered, which one of these is the correct order for parameters in a function definition? Getting this right is absolutely key. And the correct answer is D. You got it. Standard parameters first, then args to catch the positional overflow, and double KW args bringing up the rear to catch all the named extras. You should burn this order into your brain. We have covered a ton of ground here, so let's just boil it all down into the most important takeaways, the stuff you can start using in your code, like right now. Here it is, your cheat sheet. Use args when you need a tuple of positional arguments. Use kwargs for a dictionary of keyword arguments. And remember this little detail. The actual words args and kwargs are just a habit, a convention. It's the asterisks that do all the work. You could call them pancakes and waffles if you wanted to. And one last time, that order is strict. Master this, and you will understand the magic behind a lot of advanced Python features. So there you have it. Args and kwargs are no longer a mystery. The next time you see them out in the wild, and you will, in frameworks and libraries all over the place, you'll know exactly what's going on. You'll understand the power and the flexibility they provide. The only real question left is, what are you going to build with them?